I don't think anything like this has happened in the last 100 years, has happened in the United States. But I have to say, in the last, let's say, decade, there have been many events that were impossible to even imagine. Take a communist, the mayor of New York, men on women's basketball teams. An admiral transforms from a man into a genderless being, while a president, like Hamlet's father's ghost, wanders his wardrobe, unable to reach the bedroom, trapped in his closet, unable to exit, bumping into the walls. But that means, after all, there still weren't any calls for armed restoration of the country. There weren't, and then there were.
It's a pity I can't say that I'm surprised or shocked, but I'm not. But I'm furious, and I think you will be too. Democrats, so desperate to lose their seats, are ready to jeopardize the safety of Americans like you and me. Wait until I share this video with you, where there is an open, public call for the military to defy orders, to defy the president, the commander-in-chief, President Trump, who represents the people, openly calling on the military not to obey, and in turn not to follow the will of the American people. Democratic lawmakers are now openly calling for insurrection. So he quoted or reposted Senator Alyssa Slotkin, a Democrat. We want to address the members of the military and the intelligence community directly. The American people demand that you stand up to defend our laws and Constitution. You won't believe what they're saying. Watching this video.
I am Senator Alina Slotkin, and I am Senator Mark Kelly. I am Congressman Chris DeLusa. I am Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander. I am Congresswoman Chrissy Houlihan. I am Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy. I previously worked at the CIA. I served in the Navy. I am a paratrooper and a ranger. I'm an intelligence officer. I served in the Air Force. We want to speak directly to our military and intelligence personnel who risk their lives every day. Who protects America's security? We know you're under pressure. Citizens believe in our army, but that trust can be lost. Trump is forcing our army and United States intelligence agencies to act against us. Like us, you swore to protect the Constitution. Right now, the danger doesn't come from abroad, it comes from within. You can refuse to carry out illegal orders. You can and must refuse to carry out illegal orders. No one should follow orders that violate our laws or our Constitution. We understand how difficult this is. It's a tough time to work for the government. But wherever you serve, the CIA, the Army, the Navy, or the Air Force, your vigilance is critically important. Know that we will protect you because now more than ever, America needs you.
If that doesn't make you angry, then I don't know what will. These are the so-called elected lawmakers. They blatantly lie, spreading what they claim the other side is spreading. Trump. I mean, this is a blatant distortion of facts and disinformation. No one is persecuting American citizens. There isn't a single American citizen who is afraid to go outside, afraid of being grabbed by people in masks, in cars without license plates. I walk my dog every day. Islamic State of Iraq and Syria is in the city, and I'm not worried about anything. My children aren't worried about anything. My wife isn't worried about anything. I wonder why? Because we are real American citizens. It's so disgusting. It's so outrageous. It's completely wrong. It's incitement to insurrection. It's high treason. They deserve to be brought before a tribunal. And these poor law enforcement officers are just following the orders of the American people, represented by their commander-in-chief, just doing their job. You are putting them in greater danger by putting excessive pressure and coercion on our hardworking, law-abiding law enforcement officers. Shame on you, Democrats. America, I've said this before and I'll say it again, it's more important for them not to lose their seats than for you and me to be safe. Think about it, America. Once I was
I completely agree with him.
with tears in my eyes,
Protect.
their own wallet, or rather their patched trough. The terrible, outrageous abomination shown in this video, where all these Democrats, Mark Kelly, Slotkin, and a whole bunch of unknown people, literally called on members of the United States military to openly disobey and not follow the orders of their commander-in-chief. If this isn't insurrection, if this isn't treason, if this isn't incitement to insurrection under the Insurrection Act, then I don't know what is. Well, in today's video, I'll share how these Democrats doubled down, and I'll show an interview with Martha McCallum. She did such an excellent job, because for me, it's just a clear example of how rotten, how empty, how vague, how completely lacking in any convictions this whole clique, this sect called the Democrats, really is. Listen to this nasally paper pusher, this hellish bureaucrat, this spineless, worthless outcast of society, the representative of Jason Grow, a Democrat who is trying to interrupt Martha McCallum. And in fact, he insists that he is inciting and advocating for rebellion, for treason.
Refuse illegal orders. That is the message from several influential Democrats. All of them have a military or intelligence background, and they want service members to know their rights, they say. When it comes to strikes, they consider illegal. You see some criticism of this video when some people look at it and say, you know, if you serve in the United States military, you sign a contract, you carry out the mission assigned to you. Well, you know, the other option is not to join the military or to leave if you feel you can't follow an order. But an order is an integral part of what you sign up for, and you know that much better than I do. And I thank you for your service, Congressman. Thank you for coming. Why did you appear in this video?
Marta, we support our service members who are often put in very difficult positions. And Donald Trump put them in very difficult positions and hinted that he would put them in even more difficult positions in the coming months and years. So, we remind people of what the Uniform Code of Military Justice, the Constitution, and the law of war say. You know, it's no different from what I did with my infantry platoon before deploying to Iraq in 2003. I trained those young soldiers in their duty to follow the laws of war, to uphold the Constitution. And what is a lawful order versus an unlawful one? Oh.
Which law are you saying is being violated now? And then you said that he hinted he might do something they wouldn't want to support or carry out in the future. What exactly are you talking about? Yes.
I appreciate your question. First, the Lafayette Square protest during Trump's first term, where he said, "Can't we just shoot them in the legs," or something like that? That's a direct quote. And of course, the then Joint Chiefs chairman opposed it. But it wasn't an order, it was a comment. Still, when the President of the United States says that to your generals, don't you think that's a request, not a question?
I'm asking specifically, that's number one. Now, number two, what are you
saying? Number two? Yes, number two. He also threatened to send troops into Chicago and other cities to start a war with those cities. Right? That's very, very concerning. Number three, he also hinted at sending troops. No, he's not like that. He won't go to war. This is such blatant, propagandistic, pure, spewing, filthy lies right here. Polling stations, which in fact violates United States law. The United States Criminal Code prohibits troops from being at polling stations. He hinted at it. This is just one of many examples from Donald Trump.
You're talking about hints. You're not talking about real policy. You're not talking about what our service members, whom we honor and respect, are actually being asked to do. When will you watch this video?
Yeah, exactly.
Everywhere, when you see this video on social media, I think a lot of people scratch their heads and say, what exactly are they talking about? About not letting armed boats with drugs into the United States? Is this what you're talking about?
Marta, I have an idea. Maybe we should prevent problems before they happen, right?
That's their goal. What?
You? No. Are you saying we should wait for a problem to react to it? That's right. As a military man, I believe it's important to train people, to give them information. We prepare people for the challenges ahead. That's what I did as a commander in the army. That's what I'm doing now. We support our soldiers. We remind them
That our military is carrying out. What do you object to? That's very vague. In the video, it was unclear. No one really understood what you meant.
Marta. Donald Trump made a series of very troubling statements and proposals that violate United States law and put our military in a terrible position. Again, this is pointless. You're not discussing the order. I don't want to wait until it happens to remind our soldiers of their duty, because then it will be too late. We support our men and women in uniform to remind them the code is unified.
Who signs up every day, like you, to follow the orders of the commander-in-chief? We are not involved in new wars. We have no troops on the ground in Ukraine except for those we are training. Pilot missions, not on any front lines. An aircraft carrier has now been sent to the Caribbean. I thought these were specific operations that are actually happening that you might be talking about. But we have established a huge presence in the Caribbean to stop fentanyl deaths, which have been more than 48,000 just in the past year. The president doesn't want these drugs entering the United States. But you don't mention any of these real actions taken by the commander-in-chief and the Department of Defense. How?
As you saw, a likable company member, Congress could not provide a single example of an order, directive, or action by Trump or his generals that contradicted the Constitution. In Chicago and other cities, National Guardsmen were deployed, who are mandated by the Constitution to help local authorities deal with riots. If that weren't the case and he had insisted, the courts would have said their word. No. They were persuading the servicemen not to follow their commander's orders because Trump might order them to do something that, in their view, is illegal. Plus, they were showing their voters in their districts that they're tough and not afraid of anything at all. Here's Stephen Miller, who has everything clear, simple, and precise.
This is a rebellion?
Obviously, no questions asked. And when one of the lawmakers in that video can't name, as you say, under prolonged cross-examination, either
a single so-called illegal order, it just proves his point. This is a general call for insurrection pause, addressed by Democrat lawmakers to the CIA and the United States Armed Forces. They say that you not only have the right, but also the duty and obligation not to obey the orders of the commander-in-chief. That those who bear arms in the name of America must break the chain of command and take part in open acts of rebellion. That the CIA, a secret service which is not even legally allowed to operate on the territory of the United States, must also take part again in acts of insurrection and rebellion. And these lawmakers should honestly resign in disgrace and never again. And never hold public office again for even daring to think about it. Not to mention saying those words and even saying them with pride. But this shows what a dangerous moment we're in. We've seen the Democratic Party incite violence and rebellion against the government for the past 10 months. When you witness this ongoing violence against immigration and customs enforcement and border agents, when Democratic politicians and governors from sanctuary cities and states side with rioters and attackers instead of federal law enforcement, and this even seeps into juries and grand juries. When you see Democratic jurors using nullification to free violent offenders who physically assault federal officers, that's a dangerous moment. There is a political party, the Democratic Party organization, and their message is any action, no matter how illegal, dangerous, or threatening to the constitutional order, is justified if it preserves democratic policies at any cost. Pack the Supreme Court, appoint 10 radical loyalists, and destroy our constitutional order for good. They don't believe in systems, rules, or laws, only in whatever keeps them in power. And if what they think keeps them in power is a military coup or a CIA coup, that's what they'll support. But in another situation, if, let's say, a soldier doesn't want to get vaccinated against COVID, then in their opinion, he's a threat to order. That person should be broken and lose their job and opportunities. If a Democrat, for example, complains about the fairness of elections, that person is a hero. If a Republican complains about the fairness of elections, that person needs to be put in prison for life. This is the situation we're in. This is what we're dealing with. So when we say Democrats, communists, we don't just mean that they believe in government control over property. We mean that they've adopted a way of thinking where any use of force is justified for their ultimate goal of power and control. So they become a third world party. I mean, you have to realize that we're not dealing with the old Democratic Party. We're dealing with a third world party.
Gentlemen, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. It should vibrate from your hits. The ancient Roman general Marcus Porcius Cato said, that was the year 150 before Christ. In his speech in the Senate, the words that have reached us, he said, Carthage must be destroyed. It is now the year 2025 AD, and I say, the Democratic Party of the United States must be destroyed. And in its place, I am against a one-party system, as you probably understand. In its place, there should be an alternative pro-capitalist, pro-freedom, pro-free market party. A party and two parties will compete with each other over how to lead the country toward improving our standard of living, toward greater justice and security. And Carthage must be destroyed. Carthage has outlived its time and has long since become a heavy burden on the neck of the American people. Goodbye until we meet again.